Hello and welcome to Asset Television News. I am Mania OCB. First, the headlines. Federal government inaugurates advertising offences tribunal. Nigerian Law Society rejects Cjn'S directives on use of Barrister. Women miners urged to embrace digital due diligence. And now the news in details. The presidency has announced that the public submissions on the proposed national policing bill closes at 5 p.m. today, Thursday, the 13th of August 2026. Nigerians have been urged to submit their views on the proposed establishment of the state policing. The Chief of Staff to the President and Chairman of the Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill, Femi Gbajabiamila, made this known on Wednesday in Abuja. He said the consultation is aimed at incorporating Nigeria's experiences and professional expertise into the proposed legislation. Key areas of focus include safeguards against political interference, mechanism for investigating serious police misconduct, and protocols for intelligence sharing between federal and state police services. He stressed that the public consultation will not replace the National Assembly constitutional rule. Lawmakers will retain the authority to scrutinize, amend, reject, or pass the bill when it's fully transmitted. He acknowledged widespread concerns that the state policing could be abused by governors against political opponents, protesters, journalists, majority groups, and other citizens. The Nigerian Law Society (NLS) has rejected the directive of Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, ordering lawyers and court officials to discontinue the use of barrister as a professional title and adopt Esquire instead. The society argued that the directive had no clear legal basis, insisting that the Legal Practitioners Act 1962 recognizes barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria as professional titles applicable to lawyers called to the Nigerian bar. The controversy followed a July 13, 2026 memo signed by Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, Kabir Akambi, directing legal practitioners, court registrars, and other lawyers to immediately stop using barrister before their names in official engagements at the apex court. According to the memo, the directive was intended to promote professional standards at the Supreme Court. However, the NLS, through its executive director, Dr. Toyin Ejaja, in a statement issued on Wednesday, faulted the directive, arguing that neither Esquire nor alternatives such as barrister at law and attorney at law are expressly provided for the Legal Practitioners Act. Jaja said while the use of barrister alone might not fully capture the professional designation of a Nigerian lawyer, the same legal framework did not expressly prescribe Esquire as an alternative. He argued that the CJN, the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee, and the Nigerian Bar Association lacked the power to impose professional titles requirements that were not expressly provided in the law. The NLS also questioned what it describes as inconsistent treatment of professional titles, particularly the Blue Silks rank of Senior Counsel of Nigeria. The society faulted arguments by the LPPC and Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja that the SCN designation should not be recognized because it is not expressly provided for in the Legal Practitioners Act. Jaja argued that the fact that the Senior Advocate of Nigeria (SAN) rank is expressly recognized by the law did not automatically render other professional titles illegitimate. He accused the CGN and the LPPC of applying different standards in regulating professional titles. Fanatic. According to him, the King's Council tradition dates back to the 16th century in Britain, with Francis Bacon recognized as its first holder. Jaja said the guidelines were established pursuant to Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution and Section 19 of the National Assembly Service Commission Act 2014. The NLS therefore maintained the CJN's directive required to clear statutory foundation and urge consistency in the regulation and recognition of professional titles within the Nigerian legal profession. The society. The federal government has inaugurated the newly constituted Advertising Offences Tribunal as part of efforts to strengthen regulation, promote professionalism, and ensure greater integrity in Nigeria's advertising and marketing communications industry. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, stated this during the inauguration of the tribunal in Abuja, describing the development as an important step towards building a more professional and responsible advertising industry. The minister said the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria (ACON) Act number 23 of 2022 expanded the council's regulatory powers and provided the establishment of the tribunal to the offences under the acts and relevant advertising regulations and code. He urged the new panel, led by Honorable Justice Cecilia M.A. Olatorugun, to carry out its duties with integrity, independence, and fairness. He congratulated the chairman and members of the tribunal, assuring them of the ministry's continued support for ACON and efforts to build a globally competitive advertising industry. The Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria (ACON), Dr. Olalekan Olumuyiwa, describes the inauguration of the Advertising Offences Tribunal as a major step in strengthening the regulation and compliance in the advertising industry. Chairman of the Advertising Offence Tribunal, Justice Cecilia Olatoregun, pledged that the new panel would discharge its responsibilities with integrity, fairness, and professionalism. Key players in the mining sector have identified poor visibility, inadequate business records, weak compliance systems as limitations of women-owned mining enterprises in Africa that will attract international buyers, investors, and financiers. With this, women miners have been urged to embrace digital due diligence and ensure that reliable information about their businesses are readily accessible to prospective partners. This call was made during a webinar organized under the Mansa Awareness Initiative, a collaboration between Women in Mining Africa and the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank. In her contribution, the Executive Director of Women in Africa, Comforts Asokoro Ogaji, said having quality products and customers was no longer enough to compete in an increasingly interconnected global market. She said investors, financial institutions, suppliers, and international buyers now verify the ownership, legitimacy, operations, compliance, and capacity of the business before entering into transactions with its owners. Ogaji pointed out that visibility, credibility, and compliance as key challenges confronting women-led enterprises in the mining industry. The webinar is part of a wider capacity building program targeting women in mining, young entrepreneurs, and other enterprises across the upstream, midstream, and downstream segments of the mining value chain. We now take a short break, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us. Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, has called for equal representation of women and men in leadership and decision-making positions in Nigeria. The minister made the call in Jalingo, Taraba State, while inaugurating the 10 Million Voices team during the opening of the 26th National Council on Women Affairs, Child Advancement and Social Development. Suleiman Ibrahim said, women should move beyond existing demand for 35% representation and push for gender parity. She urged members of the 10 Million Voices team to take ownership of the movement, noting that its secretariat was established to support the office of the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. According to her, the initiative will establish secretariats for the First Ladies of the 36 states to strengthen membership and grassroots mobilization. The minister also urged women to take a more active role in leadership and decision-making across the country. The 26th edition of the conference, organized by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, is being held under the theme Strengthening Families and Advancing the Care Economy for Inclusive Development. The Council brought together commissioners of women affairs from states, development partners, and other stakeholders to deliberate on policies aimed at strengthening families and advancing Nigeria's social protection architecture under the Renewed Hope agenda. Still on women, Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, has disclosed that Nigeria's creative sector currently accounts for approximately 2.3% of the national GDP, as the ministry targets $100 billion GDP contribution and 2 million new jobs by 2030 under the President's Renewed Hope agenda. Speaking in her office during a strategic visit by the Director General of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Professor Ayo Omotayo, a former Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Musawa revealed that the ministry has inaugurated 4 drafting committees focusing on policy and strategy, program implementation, stakeholder engagement, and monitoring and evaluation of established necessary institutional and financial frameworks. The visit by NIPS leadership is aimed at seeking the ministry's partnership for an upcoming national summit and exhibition on the orange economy. Musawa commended NIPS for adopting the orange economy, encompassing creative, cultural, and heritage sectors as the core study theme for the Senior Executive Course SEC 48 in 2026, affirming that the initiative directly aligns with the administration's economic diversification goals. Agreeing with this, Lai Mohammed noted that the orange economy represents the future of Nigeria's economic growth and holds immense potential for the large-scale job creation. And now to the international scene. A 32-year-old woman has been rescued alive after spending 36 hours trapped beneath the rubble of a collapsed building following a powerful earthquake that struck Western Colombia. The woman, who was identified as Daniela Lago, was pulled from the wreckage in the city of Pereira as rescue teams continued searching damaged buildings for other survivors. Her rescue triggered cheers and applause from exhausted emergency workers, and relatives was feared that she would not survive. Lago was reportedly found after a resident heard cries for help coming from beneath the debris. Neighbors began removing rubble before professional rescuers arrived and took over the operation. Her mother, Sandra Perez, said the family had been losing hope until they received the call that Lago had been found alive. She said Lago's 12-year-old son was waiting for her at home. The rescue came amidst a massive emergency operation following the 7.4 magnitude earthquake that struck Western Colombia on Tuesday, August 10th, 2026. And that is the news at this moment. Do well to follow us on our social media handles for more news update. On behalf of the news crew, I am Manya Osebe. Many thanks for watching.